Till we
Here we
fling
are. Welcome to YouTube.
it. Hello.
All righty, here we go. Another fantabulous evening with the magnificent Stone Hobbit and her sidekick. Oh my god. Yeah,
Hmm.
we're always having fun.
Yeah, analyzing every part of life as we move.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's definitely the week has been a wild ride. I think I posted something that said that on Facebook at some point in time. I wrote something out. It was like, just kind of deal with stuff. I think I still have it up. Yeah. And once you realize with our real eyes who and what we are and how much power we have in our realm structure and the paths we choose, nothing can stop what's coming from within us. That is, unless we choose to create our own path, get out of the sandbox and into the vast desert of creativity. That's where the blessing of bliss truly happens, but also be ready for the ride of your life
Yeah.
because things never turn out the way you expect. You can be the best ever manifester, but
Oh,
it
you're still going
never
to get
seems
hit.
to be. No, it never works. It never works out the way you think it's gonna work out. I'm trying to get the chat to open and it's not
It's
open.
like one of those things where it doesn't matter how prepared you are,
Yeah,
you're never prepared enough.
yeah,
So, this week it feels like this is like way more than a week's worth of work. This is, yeah, 40 years, 50 years worth of work in 1 week.
yep,
And wow, wow. To be able to turn around and see where one is now. And I, with all the suggestions, I don't give advice. I just recommend that whatever comes your way, stay calm. Stay calm. I got
mm-hmm.
the opportunity to actually test my growth, and it has been an eye opener to say the least. It's opened all doorways, opened all chakras. It's allowed myself to investigate areas that I would not have normally have even gone to if I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't had this opportunity with this other person. So, it's like I had the opportunity to look at growth. And at the moment, what I'm seeing is this is a repetitive pattern. Everybody's going through this. Everybody's getting pulled to judge themselves, you know, the deeper inner self work. This is shadow work. We're all
Yep,
doing our own individual shadow work,
yep,
and we're getting to recognize the trigger points, and
yep,
growth points. And I say, as non-biased as I can, there are no mistakes. There's room for growth. If you get to recognize it and you can see it, and it's not what you want, you don't want to hurt others. You don't want to emotionally hurt others. You don't want to spiritually, invade other people's spaces.
yep,
This is the awareness of how deep free will really goes. Once we can get that part shifted and moved and we're comfortable again, the next step is telepathy. They don't want us all communicating because we're truthful and we're honest and we can deal with the journeys that we had thus far. There's just so much that's been coming in. It's sure is a ride and a half. So,
yeah. So you just mentioned two words that I find to be very interesting. And that immediately when you said that, this is what popped into my head. Truth and honesty. It was a story in the Old Testament about King David, and it was after he had been told he was going to be the next king of Israel. And I don't think the current king was particularly pleased because he kind of screwed up a few times, and he was basically told you lost the crown because you didn't follow the rules, sort of thing. So David was on the lam for quite a while. One of the things he did was he did a lot of deception, and it was out of survival. So the one story that he actually lived with the enemy
Yeah.
for a long time, and they took him in, and he was reported to be not very tall. He was quite a short fellow, but he was very handsome and very winning personality, I guess. But he played like he was crazy, spitting his beard, just being a loopsy doodle, and they thought he was funny. And all that time, and he learned a lot about the enemy. So, I mean, I don't know about you. I'm having no plans to spit in my beard, but um, I'm not playing crazy. But sometimes with truth and honesty, there does have to be, for a healthy protection, that little bit of spice and shadow within ourselves does have to come out, because it doesn't make any sense for you to expose yourself for harm, specifically for harm.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, a good example is somebody I know. I'm not going to even say what relationship they are with me, but they shared with me a couple of days ago about how their family was taken advantage of, and it almost by a Facebook scammer. And it's a heart-wrenching story. And the things that she says, the police would not help. And I said, well, of course they're not going to help, because the individual in your family that did this thing, that bought these items and gave them the things that they gave them, they gave willingly.
Yeah.
Yes, there was deception. Yes, they probably are not who they say they are. Which is fine. I mean, they can do video chats and pictures, and they can be very clever. And you know what? This is real stuff. And this almost broke their family apart. So now in the next several years, they're going to have to, through maybe 6 months of stupidity that this family individual did for
Yeah.
them, they now have a lot of repair work, but they're making the effort to keep things together. Um, and I find that very, very honorable. This individual is quite young, so
Yeah.
I find that to be very, very honorable. Um, and you gotta do your own protection. You gotta do your own stuff. You
Yeah.
gotta be aware of your own vulnerabilities. And if you need a buddy to help you keep it real, get a buddy to help you keep it real, because you could lose everything. I personally have lost everything: my
Yeah.
home, everything, everything you can think of, all the family treasures for 2 generations back. For me, they're basically gone. And I'm okay with that, because I remember my mom telling me when I was quite young, I would look at something and admire it. She go, oh, it's just stuff, just
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
she knew the real value of it. She saw people as more valuable than this, tangible place that we're in right now, that we call tangible anyway. So the truth and honesty part, I think, is very poignant, because it's something that we also have to guard. We also have to have some protection over our own truth and honesty. I mean, some people don't want to, make their true feelings known about things. But we do have to keep ourselves safe to a certain degree.
Yeah.
If you're keeping secrets that are harmful, that's another ball game. That is deceit.
Yeah.
If you're doing harm with your less than honest behavior, shame on you. But there are little anomalies and inconsistencies that you can see. I know you've posted pictures of people that try to pose. Well, we just call them posers. We're simple people here in America. That In Canada, I guess you go north, they call them hosers, little squirrel trail. But yeah, I mean, you get what I'm saying though. It's kind of like you have to look out for yourself because you don't want to have a nanny. Well, I mean, some people might, but you know, you're not going to build the intellectual muscle, the spiritual muscle, you know, the emotional muscle that you need to get through what's coming.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I think just something that you brought up was about the things that are manifesting in the real world people think is nature, and it's not. It's not. Tap into the USGS, the United States Geological, whatever it is. It's the, if you did
oh, the
USGS
fakes.
quake map, you'll
Yeah.
get right to that page and it'll show you the whole planet, and it'll show all the ones you're going to make adjustments, how far back you want to go, um, how big or small you want to look at as far as the size of the quakes. But yeah,
Mhm.
we talked about that. The 10Ks down, most people know what those are.
There's a lot going on with that. People are hearing booms around the world now,
Yep.
and they can't identify where it's coming from. It's just
Wow.
totally in their space. So that's happening. I can't even remember which countries are, but there's at least three of them already. So, and this is also going along the Ring of Fire. So,
Okay. Yep. Yep. I'm,
I remember back in the day when it used to be twos and threes magnitudes. And I was having a conversation with a woman saying, I'm not going to worry about the patterns too much until we start hitting the sevens. And then I was doing a show with Rob and I got a seven. I got hit with a seven. And since then, it's just, I've noticed sevens constantly, seven, seven, sevens. So,
same. Is that where that's coming from then?
what? It's not my,
Sevens.
yeah, it's not my fault.
Well,
But I
that's
would,
what I'm saying. That's a synchronicity. That's what that's attached to then.
so I would say looking at the purging, the deep emotional purging that we're doing is like we're questioning all our actions, everything we've ever done. What's right and what's wrong. And you do be cautious. Do be aware, because if you're about to purge your entire universe of all your hidden secrets that you think are wrongs, they're possibly not wrongs. That's just where your mind was at that time. These are warning signs to be able to stop us from going forward and making more shit for ourselves further along down the line. And if we can see that right now, that means we can do something about it right now. And this is what I'm seeing is people are opening up. But you have to be aware. I mean, you can see this is like a leap of faith time. You don't know which way it's going to go, and not, if you're lucky enough. I mean, I feel very privileged to be able to go, wow, what an opportunity I have to be in this situation where I get to actually not be in emotional state, but still hear, feel, sense, and know all the other aspects to it. So that was like, and then go, wow, what a fucking opportunity. I can see it from one side of it. And I've also been allowed to see from the other side of that opportunity. So we should be very cautious about going forward, who we do open up to, but you do need to I do recommend you find a buddy to release all of the stuff to. If you can't, go talk to a tree. I mean, I honestly go talk to a tree. Yes, she's crazy, she's lost it. But if you need to be purging right now and getting this material out because you want to make a change, I mean, if you weren't feeling it, you wouldn't be doing something positive about it. If you feel it and then poof, it's gone, like, no, I'm not feeling nothing anymore. You're going to do it again. You're going to do it
Yeah.
again. All right.
What do you
This is
think?
guilt.
What do you
Yeah,
no, as far as techniques for you, hug a tree. I mean, I know I'm gonna say exactly what I. Please ask the tree's permission first. All right, I don't want people
yes.
hugging me without permission.
Yeah, I know. You know,
Not
I
happening.
yeah, I started off as a tree hugger, and then I started communicating with the tree, and then I realized it was a living entity. And when I went to go and hug one next to it, it went on, went on, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Who's looking?
Oops.
Who's looking? Who's watching? Can I give you?
Oops.
Yeah. So
What
so
what I and I'm gonna tell you I've done this over the last probably 3 to 4 weeks because of the different things that have been going on, and I write things out, and it doesn't matter. I
good.
not been sleeping. I write things out. People tell me I got great handwriting, so hey, why the hell not? I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna write these things out. Last one I did, I wrote it out. It was like half a page, on a. So I came out like a day or two later, and I saw what I wrote, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that was definitely exactly what you just described. And I found 2 pages like that because I got kind of stuff around here. I write. I just, I took them, folded them up. I took a chair. I took that. I went outside and I got the little ring fire pit. And I went out there and there's some wood on there. And it's been raining a lot. So I'm not really worried about anything. So I just stuffed it in there and lit that puppy on the fire. And I sat down. And the dog and I sat out there and had a
Very
good
good.
time watching the purge turn to smoke,
Yeah.
turn to vapor. It
Yeah.
was so freeing. It was really gratifying
Yeah.
to see that all go up. Poof.
Yeah. And if it ever comes back in even just the smallest, remotest way, you'll identify it as not yours because you let it go. So where is that attachment that's trying to get your communication? If you pay it any attention, there will be a reattachment. But don't feed it. Don't feed it. Let it completely go. This is the whole thing about self forgiveness. When people talk to me about forgiving someone who's done A, B, and C to me, it's like I don't have any time or any energy to put in to forgive someone that's not going to change their ways. That's it. That's it. I have to detach myself from that energy so I don't feed it. Okay, so it has no forgiveness from me. I'm gone. I don't need to consider it at all. So that's where I say I don't forgive that. But now, when I step deeper inside myself, I can forgive myself for the different levels of not being able to understand or appreciate the experiences I was in at the time. Now I can. Now I can go back. This is that inner child work, the shadow work. Now I can go back and I can change that so that my parallel self dimensions, whatever it is that I've got that connection to, has a better chance at all of this information sooner, you know, so we don't have to go through this again. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, and when we're doing these purgings and we're taking these, we're having these um psychological and emotional challenges, taking physical action is really, really good. And physical action isn't just, going out and taking a run or a walk. It's also, like I said, writing things down,
yeah,
even getting up and, cooking or doing your laundry or whatever it is, the household things that you find yourself doing.
yeah,
It's physical activity and engaging all of those things. Um, I was gonna say like even because when I was teaching, you know, there's all these different ways that people learn, and one of them is when you write. That's the kinetic aspect, and it's visual because you can see the words. You're also supposed to say the words out loud. And
Mm.
saying the words out loud, you're creating that vibration in your body, and you're creating the space that's outside of you. But it's also, we're not only coming out here, it's also going in here.
Yeah.
So it's like a really, if you will, I'm getting a little jaded with the dimensional thing, the multi-dimensional thing, but that's kind of what's going on. um, the more you engage with these different aspects of release, and like you said, forgiving yourself, and don't beat yourself up if those feelings start to come back,
Yeah.
because from a biological standpoint, you've had those synaptic tracks, if you will, in your brain that are still there, and they'll fade over time. And the less that you access them, and it doesn't happen overnight, it'll get to the point where it's manageable, or for some who are lucky enough, it will dissipate.
Yeah.
And I'm not shy about, what I shared with Stone about my uh, trying to do away with myself at a very young age. And the kind of thing is that when you share that, that's a means of purging. You don't
Yeah.
just dump on anybody, though. I know what Stone's been through, so I know she knows how to reciprocate. So that's the kind of people and things you want to do. You want that reciprocation, because I know I've said things to people, and it's kind of like they have this really biased opinion, and when I come back and say, whoa, 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 that's not it, because this, and this, and I'm being truthful, I'm being honest, but their jaws drop, their eyes bug out, and you know what? I just gave them some trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they deserve it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I did, and I've done it quite often. And it's kind of like, I can't say it's good or bad. It's just when it comes out, it comes out, you know? Hey, I've been smacked for saying stuff, and
Yeah.
when it comes out, it comes out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
anyway. But you don't have, when you change you, you change your perspective of you forgive yourself, and you say you don't have to forgive anybody else. But when you truly forgive yourself, and you come to that peace point, and you don't have to,
Yeah. That's right.
they don't matter anymore. That that doesn't matter. That thing doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't go away,
Yeah.
because they're always going to try and come back,
Yeah.
but
They're
you're
always
getting
watching.
better and better.
There's watches on many levels, right? You
Yeah.
know, one of the things I've been discussing this week is near-death experiences, you
Mm.
know, and the relation between the ways of near death, like even concussion, you can get to the same dimensions as near death. I know I've had both.
Yeah.
Not once, but many times. And this is one of the things at the moment, and I feel fucking privileged, to be honest, because all that shit that I've been through, I still don't know how I managed to get to this point. It doesn't mean that I don't have the daily memories, the daily images, the triggers from the words. I mean, my day is absolutely full of bombardment from shit. But it's like I can't let that stop me. I still have to move forward. I still have to do A, B, and C for me. When I saw this going on, this all started for me a couple of weeks ago when I took a fall in the shower. Well, if I was going to go out, that I don't want to go out like that. You
All
know,
right, Elvis, we'll cut you a
what?
break.
Yeah, I
We'll
mean,
cut you a break, Elvis.
yeah, absolutely. I'm not even going to get into it. So now I'm like, I had to examine all of my lifetime experiences and why certain things haven't worked out the way that I had expected them to work out. But that's bloody programming. The programming told me, set me up to have this way of life. But I was there for a little while and it just didn't work for me. I was that, nah, don't keep me in a box. This was a lot of psychological trauma. Well, I don't even look at it as trauma. I just say it's programming. You got to behave a certain way or this is the punishment, and that's just fucking that. Um, yeah, what a phenomenal journey to be able to turn around and see, well, I can see who and how and why the targeted individuals, the different forms of communication from different dimensions, the different beings that come in, the different frequencies that come in. It's like, whoa, man. I'm loving this. I am loving this. Right now, the purge, be gentle with yourself, but be truthful to yourself. If you don't have anybody to get that truth out to, because this will come to you at different levels. You might be apprehensive about actually facing someone that you feel you've hurt or you've injured or you've trodden on their free will, and they have no knowledge of it. But there is that spiritual connection, that spiritual attachment that you've made by doing that. So to release yourself from that, you need to start somewhere. And what Auric was saying, write that down. Write down your sincerity and acknowledgement, and let it go. Okay, into the ether, let it go. So you're not just releasing yourself, you're also releasing that other party spiritually. If it comes up again, you just repeat that process. I've found people who have cleared one layer. This is the onion. This is that onion, These are the layers. When you clear one level, there's going to be a bit more. There's going to be a bit more. Because at the end of the day, all of these layers are connected to one heart. Okay? One
Don't
heart.
peel the onion too fast because that onion will definitely make you cry.
Yeah. 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 I love those little tiny wild cocktail ones that when you put them in your mouth raw, they're just like blow your sinuses. Oh,
Yep.
yum.
Yep. They are good. They're very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of talked about the whole protection thing about
Yes.
guarding our energy emotionally, and the emotional maturity, and we definitely have to take ownership of our actions. And um I mean, it's a very emotional time, but it's also, like you said, it's very purging. And I think things are definitely going to turn out differently than way people think.
Yeah.
There is definitely a big push toward the dystopian AI. So that's why I was kind of
Oh,
thinking that it's, you can sit there and see the pictures, and you're dialoguing with people with the pictures, and they can call you, and they can have a real person there, and you can talk to that real person. And when you're done talking to them, you don't know who you're talking to in that chat. You really
yeah.
don't. So from a real 3D perspective, they're trying to draw a path and to get into your heart and mind to pull you into a place of vulnerability. Because it's
Absolutely.
not just about getting your personal information, it's about putting you in a vulnerable position. Whether it's with you taking pictures of yourself or pictures of other people, um, and that's verboten, just as a heads
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
because this did not happen to me, it happened to that other person. children, photographs of children were sent to these people. So this just kind of like scared the bejesus out of me, and that's why I felt that it was really important that if it was just me and I wanted to get slapped, it's just don't be fucking stupid. But from don't be taken.
Yeah.
Don't let them pull, and it's not wool over your eyes. They're going to put the whole dang hood over your eyes with the rope, tie the knot, and they're going to make you pull the lever
Yeah.
because there's not going to be
Absolutely.
anybody else who's going to help you other than you. So you're the one who has to cut the rope, take the hood off, and I don't know, throat punch the whole idea of keeping yourself vulnerable like that. So
Mm.
anyway,
Yeah.
that was really
Work
hard.
out
That was
where
a
it
really
came
hard
from.
thing.
Work out where it came from. Work out what pulled you in.
Yes, good
Work
idea.
out where
Yes.
that actually came from because it's a trigger. It's a
Yep.
trigger. So
Yep.
if they can use that on you and you think you're over it, they may try to use another.
Yep.
So
Yep.
get familiar with the emotions that are being triggered. The temptation. We were talking earlier about some of the old movies and stuff, and one of the things this week for me was paths. The path of temptation. I kept getting the stone paths that had like as if Medusa had zapped them and they turned to stone. But when they stepped off, it was like they turned to stone because of temptation, whether it was lust, sexual desires, whether it was financial gain, whether whatever was your temptation, greed, lust, all of it, gluttony, whatever it was, they stepped off the path and they turned to stone, right? So, and previous to that, I was talking about Medusa and how, um, you know, the guys would turn to stone. Anyway, that was a different segment altogether, but it it led me to the path. It led me to that path, and it's been a reoccurring theme this week. As well as all this, the purging, the wow, shit, you've held on to some stuff since you were very young. Well, I released some stuff no one else is ever gonna hear again, and that's like, that wasn't mine to carry. It wasn't mine. So I'm really super grateful for this time. I'm acknowledging this time to be able to release some of the shit that wasn't mine in the first place and have the other party not take any of it on as their own. This is where we need to get to. We need to get to a comfortable stage where we can trust within ourselves our own honesty, one, not to take it on, not to you ever use it against another person, be totally, non-bias on it, be calm, be in that calm state to both give and receive. Because it's a purge. We gotta once purging is like we get rid of shit. We get rid of those energies. We're making room for something else. We're lightening our load. There's a density changing. We've got different frequency waves coming across the top of us, affecting us. And we've got all these different forms of manipulation that's happening. That's, to me, it looks like it's speeding up some sort of birthing, on this planet, this place that we're at. All of these different up to 7-pointer earthquakes, that's crazy. That's a frequency. That's a frequency. You get that when you're jackhammering into the earth. You
Yeah.
know, so
That's
it's
the
like,
Empress, though. She's giving birth.
yeah,
You look at it's the Empress. It's definitely giving birth,
yeah,
and there's a lot of shaking. So if you think about most human births and most animal births, mammal births, they're pretty messy and they're not comfortable for anybody. The one
yeah,
being birthed and the one giving birth. It's just messy. And even those who might try to assist the birth, it's just messy,
yeah.
right? It's not a tidy process. It's uncomfortable.
Okay, if we're going to get on to solutions.
Solutions for
all staying
Like,
safe, protection, you know, lately the word allowed it kept coming up, and I went, no, that means somebody has to give me permission if I'm allowed to do something. Wait a minute, I'm going to change that. There's also a loud. So now I have a loud voice, like a loud sound, a
mm-hmm.
loud frequency, a tone I can hear. So yes, I've taken away the allowed, the permission, the authority side of it. So I'm looking at, okay, so they want us to sign away our lives. They want to provoke us in every which way. The first way of any solution is to be able to identify that there is a problem in the first place.
Yep. They're going to
Right?
create, yep. They're going to prepare the solution. They're going to create the problem, and then they're going to profit from the solution.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's ultimately what each and every one of these things that's going on. That's what we see happening. So what they're gonna. I had a really interesting conversation with and it's the social engineering thing too. Uh, be very, we get a lot of training where I work for keeping cyber safe because we get a lot of cyber attacks. Even though we have like 4 different levels and layers of protection, it will still get into somebody's email box or wherever. And we are required to take it's at least one a week, some sort of an update, and then there are monthly trainings that you have. They're all online. Most of them are fairly quick, but this is an ongoing thing. It is more than likely not going to ease off. It's probably going to get more intense.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you have to be like scary or anything like that. But if you're grounded and you're established and you're confident and again, you have to find that inner peace to make sure that you're going to be able to think clearly. Nobody thinks clearly when they're freaked. Um, I lost it where I was going to go with the whole cybersecurity thing. But it's
Keeping
having
safe.
that level of awareness,
Mm,
and you're gonna have to take responsibility for
yeah.
yourself. And you are going to definitely have to, because I know I do. I have to take responsibility for myself. No, nobody's going to save me. um
Yeah.
I don't think I would want anybody to save me. How disempowering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, when you get to that weak point, you have to also know when to accept help. Right?
Yes.
Okay, that's another thing because we can be as stubborn till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, at some stage you will be weak. When I'm looking at the physical aspect, I'm looking at, okay, what do I got to do to protect this vessel now? Not just from the aging process, but the frequencies, the foods, external abuses is what I like to call it. And then I've got to look at, the interior of this vessel. What do I got to do to make sure the heart, the kidneys, the lungs, the organs, they're all functioning, you know, how they're meant to function as long as they can. And then I've got to get into the spiritual side of myself and make sure that each version of myself in these different dimensions is at the same level that I'm at. The reason I'm here communicating with these other dimensions of myself is to make sure that we all go as a one to the next whatever. Okay, this is some sort of adventure ride I'm on. you know, there's no beam me up, Scotty, at the moment. Um, so it's like, okay, become aware of all the emotions, the trigger points, your environment, who's making you feel that way. Is it them or is it you? Are you picking up on an experience that they've had that's triggering something that you experienced back in the day? This is where there's a lot of clashes going on and people start fighting with each other because you're not listening to me, you're not listening to me. But it's not actually that. You're both getting the same shit out at the same time, but neither of you are allowing yourself to be in that calm space to hear what's actually going on, the deeper level of it. And I'm 100%, if you stay calm and you tell yourself that you're going to stay calm no matter what comes your way, there's power in that. I mean, I experienced this the other day and this was like absolutely a fucking turning point for me in my awareness of the journey that we're all sharing. And it's another one of those areas where they've made sure that we're absolutely distracted. We're absolutely divided. The what it used to be called Chinese whispers, and by the time it got right round back to, it was something totally different than what it started with. Well, that's what it was. you know. Oh wow, what a ride. So by staying calm, identifying, knowing 100% your truths, because you can't lie to yourself anymore. You just can't. No matter the picture, the structure, the whatever you try to build, you'll know the truth. And if you know the truth, it'll be a telltale sign to someone else out there who knows how to read the truth. So your best bet now is to start being honest and truthful to yourself, you know? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We've waited long enough to be able to hold the space to be honest with ourselves and stop hiding and feeling like if you're going to say something to someone else, it's going to hurt them. So if it's going to hurt them, you learn a new language. All right. You learn a language of empathy. You learn why this person is hurt from those feelings. All right. So we're stepping into, I'm looking at, we've been here before. We've been here before. We used to respect each other's space. We used to respect each other's journeys. We used to be able to sing to each other and heal those areas that needed to be healed. We're going back to that. All right. We're moving forward, but we're moving back to it as well. If you look at the figure eight, right? If you're going into the darkness, you're going to get stuck there because that's where we're at right now. This is what I'm seeing as the crossroads to that infinity. One way is darkness, other way is lightness. And when you're there at that pinnacle and you're honest and you're truthful and you dump all that shit right there at that point, then you get to move on. But if you're going to stay at that point and you're going to carry it and you're going to make it worse, you're going to stay in the darkness all the way around until we come back to this point. And I personally don't know when that's going to be right now. It hasn't been revealed to me yet.
Yeah, and and I know that I don't know if this is necessarily one of the reasons that I know that there's a lot of planetary things going on and a lot of
Yeah.
astrological and planetary things that are being very impactful to those of us that are here right now. The thing is that one aspect that you pointed out before we pushed the go button was that this is the cycle and that they're not to get into the whole, reducing the oxygen and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
But
yeah.
when you have the reduction in the size of the people, and if you kind of try and reconstruct that and put that back, try to turn the clock back in your head as to what that might look like, that they talked about, even the Bible and a whole bunch of other ancient texts will talk about there were giants in those days. And you look at some of the what do they call them? They're not monoliths. They're like the very giant they're like statues, but if you look at them and they were like crystallized, there's actually, I don't know if it's in the book of Enoch or one of those ancient writings where it talked about how they kind of went off their nut and they would be able to turn each other to stone. And I I know that people think that some of these statues that are in these really weird places, they were more than likely living beings at the time, because if you look at like a piece of like a petrified wood,
Yeah.
I can't remember what, a neophilic substitution or something like that, where the minerals come in and replace the live tissue with minerals and whatnot, and that's why it maintains the
Yeah.
structure. The cell
Yeah.
structure is there, but the what makes up the structure has changed. So when you look at something like that, yep, it looks like a piece of wood, but it's a stone. Now it's a rock. So
Yeah.
when you do an aerial view, you can see these massive plateaus, and they're fabulously interesting. And then you go look in the tree the neighbor just cut down. You look at the stump and you're going, oh,
Mm.
it looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
So there were giants in those days. And what happened? There were things when they talk about the firmament and it emptied. Well, what happens when you empty some things? And if it's an enclosed structure, it's going to shrink. If you have a bottle
Yeah.
of water and you forcibly pull the water out, the bottle shrinks, and it'll shrink again if more water is pulled out, or if it's displaced or put wherever it's not meant to be. There's that back, and it sucks it in. So that kind of feels like what might be being attempted to be done.
Mm.
Again, I don't think it's natural. I think it's something that is, I don't think it's man made either. Um, but again, those statues, there's that guy, I think his name is Roger Spur. He's sent a lot of samples of like rock dust. He sent it to a lab. They analyzed it, and it is, most times it's some sort of human tissue, blood, or something similar.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I think there's somewhere in the ancient writings too about how the earth is a corpse.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had.
So I guess there with the kind of say that what this is like this cycle, and it's like, well, there used to be giants, and then now what we look at as giants, and the point that you made was, well, there is going to come a time when maybe we're going to be looked at as the giants.
Yeah.
and and I guess the point to all of that is, if this is a cycle, two questions: is it, how do you break it, and is it possible to break it?
Have you ever tried to break through deja vu when you know you're having deja vu?
What do you mean breakthrough? Break it or break through?
When you know you're experiencing it, you know you're in it, and it's happening. It's like, I've been here before. I know this is happening. And as soon as you do that, it starts to change. But
Yep.
if you do that without saying anything to disturb the experience, have you tried to see what happens before that happens and stop it? So that when you step out of the deja vu and it's still going, because that's how it kicks in, right? When you these are like waves. These are like waves of memories that we step into, and we get a glimpse and then we step out of it. It's like, and there's a force field there. And at one particular point it stops us. It's the force field is so great. I tried it. I tried. I know this sounds crazy, but I recall I was stepping into what I recognized as a deja vu. And I went, no, 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 I don't want this to happen. I want to change it. So I'm like, I knew what was going to happen next. I knew it because I'd seen it before. I'm like, no, no, say no, step back, run away, do something, just get out of it. And you know what? I tried. I tried to move. I tried to speak. It was like my whole body went into a paralytic stiffness. And the whole thing still unfolded like it had in my deja vu. So it was like I gave it a go, but there was another force at play that stopped me from stopping the deja vu from happening. It was almost like my soul self couldn't do anything to stop the vessel self from the action. Anyway, and this, it's like when you're talking about the giants and the trees and the the shape of the land, and if you look at some of these walls and buildings and the intricate way that the two knots will join and fit into place, that does not to me look like concrete bricks or carvings. That to me looks like, the 3D printers that they've got, that looks like that. Okay. And over time, it has solidified. Like you're saying, it's gone into a petrified state. One of the things you were saying about all, the veins and the marble, what we call marble, if a giant's walking around and you've got a mosquito and the mosquito has a feed of that and then the mosquito goes away, it's got the DNA. It's got the DNA of the giant. It's got the ancestral information. Minute, 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 but it's got it. Okay? And then that goes and does its thing into a smaller creature. It's going to carry that information on and on and on. When they can turn around and pick a plant and say, oh, that's got human DNA in it. Oh, geez. So are we like, eating other,
Have they done that? Have they found
yeah,
human DNA in plants?
yeah, yeah, years ago, years ago. Look, mate, they found the jibby jab thingy, the
Yep,
seed
yep,
in
yep.
plants, melons, in watermelons, in mangoes, in all sorts of weird places that, how the hell is it possible? You know what I
Um,
mean?
yes. So what they've done, and I saw like a science thing on that recently. Um, it's where when it's just I don't think they do it when it's in the seed, but after it's sprouted, they are able to put anything they want in it.
Yeah,
And they had to find a way of getting it to not only just be placed into a plant, but now to carry those substances that they were using as a hokey pokey into the plant that the plant would be able to reproduce. So now we're talking about your cabbage, lettuce, carrots, broccoli, whatever you got, radishes, is now part of the pharmakia system.
yeah,
It's now where, okay, and then the worry is it wasn't about, and this was the interesting part of that conversation I listened to, was that it was not about an uninformed consent for eating this stuff. It wasn't about whether it would do harm or not, not only just to whatever would consume it, because let's face it,
yeah,
we're not the only ones consuming these things. It wasn't about any of that. It was about how do you calculate or guarantee that the individual gets the right amount, gets the right
exactly.
dose, is the
Yeah.
word they used.
They're not
So it
worried
wasn't,
about that. That's the thing.
no, it was just
It's
totally, it was the most bizarre conversation. It's like, are you freaking kidding me?
yeah,
I mean, it makes you want to just, hey, let's all just become breatharians. That's not even safe anymore.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like a little story I heard back in the day. 1080. If you don't know it, look it up. And it was by contract of waste removal, toxic waste removal. I started seeing that this was a contract for New Zealand to get rid of such and such a country's bullshit and spray it on the people. New Zealand would get X amount of funds for doing so, but the people said no, and the government still does what it does. There's very little information about it now. You don't hear about it. But then you get the fluoride. They've put all these toxins in every single thing we do, our clothing, our water, our airspace, our soil. And we have to find a way to adapt to each of it we have to learn to recognize the symptoms of the toxicity and the levels to the toxic foreign bodies and organisms, because whatever they're doing out there, they're mutating us. They're manipulating our gene pool. They're manipulating our experiences and what we're capable of doing. I mean, if we're not careful, if we don't do something about it soon, we will be those greys, that are built here in underground labs.
Oh, so that to me says about it brings me back to the whole reason I had brought up um the whole engineering and social engineering thing. And I know a lot of people have already heard about the 15-minute cities and all that.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone earlier this evening, a couple of people, and one of the conversations was that neither one of them wanted to live very far from conveniences. They didn't want to
Yeah.
live far from the
Yeah.
grocery. They didn't want to live far from the hospital. They didn't want to live far from the doctor or physiotherapist or any of the. I like to go out to eat. I don't.
Mm.
Not a big one on that one. I'll do it once in a blue moon, but the whole. I guess the idea is that I started to see that there's a great deal of independence within that individual that was talking, and they had traveled at least. It probably took them 2 days to get to this meeting that we were at, and I'm thinking about what's going to transpire, what's going to change, where people are not going to want to travel very far.
Mm.
And it's like now it's going to turn into we're going to be going back to Zoom meetings because that's
Yeah.
how we used to see them before because they'd live so far from us.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of like, well, I'm just going to have to come out there, I guess. I'm going to have to take a week off or something and just go out and spend a few days and drive back. But I guess the point is that's the beginning of it.
Yeah.
It's that shrinking of not just this great dome, this great encapsulation that we're in, but it's also about shrinking our worlds. And they have travel. They're able to travel right now. That's not necessarily going to be the case. People are going to get used to driving smaller and smaller
Yeah.
distances. I drove 40 minutes to work. Yeah, it was a pain, but uh, you know, most people. I mean, when I was living in New Zealand, I used to drive from where we lived down to the Pack and Save in I think it's in Kilburnie, right?
Yeah.
And it took me 20 minutes. And where we had lived before we were there, uh it took me at least 35 to 40 minutes to get to a grocery store because we lived
Yeah.
in the country.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I didn't care. People thought I was nuts. Why don't you just go to the New World up the road? And you could shop there and it's less than 10 minutes away because I like Pack and Save.
Yeah.
It's more stuff, one
Yeah.
stop shop, and I'm home again, you know.
Yeah.
But that's the whole idea, though. It's this shrinking world, and just talking about it gives me the travel bug. Makes me want to go travel again.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm hearing people that are out rural and in countries finding it too hard and difficult and wanting to move closer to communities.
Well, yeah, that's what he's saying. He's saying that they want to be in the community. They want all these amenities.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're both of them were saying that they wanted all these amenities, and it's kind of like, man, no, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Well, you want to
There's
be close to a hospital? Not really, because it's not just about the convenience of getting medical care. If I want medical care, I'll get my butt in a car and I'll go.
yeah.
I don't care if it takes me you know what, my doctor one way, he's 90 minutes because he's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'll make the drive. I'll take a vacation day. I'll enjoy the drive. Good thing I like to drive.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's kind of like the point though. You don't want to be it's like trap. It is a trap.
Yeah. It is. It is.
I don't want to
Look
be in the city of
look at all the fucking frying machines. I mean, we go through as soon as we step into. You just look. You oh gosh, can't even speak straight about it. All the towers that we experience, that every one of them zapping us when we go past them. Every shop that we go into, we're being fried. These antennas that zap you. Who's sitting
Well,
at the other end in the security box watching? They've seen every single one of you is naked. This is like,
I hope they get trauma compensation pay.
oh gosh, they get
Makes me hate.
cancer. Actually, they get cancer, and
Yeah.
their houses get flooded 2 or 3 times, like karma's kicking them in the butt. Not
Wow.
mentioning any names or anything. Don't know
But
anybody quite
I
like that.
mean, but it's true though because not just living closer to conveniences, so that they're saying they are.
Yeah.
When you live near a hospital, do you have
Oh,
any idea the amount of radiation that comes out of those buildings? When you live any kind of diagnostic center that does any sort of imaging,
yeah.
there's a bucket load of radiation. Now they've got those towers, and I've seen so many people coming out and showing how the towers are being activated in a waveform across the whole coast of the United States on the east, and it fluctuates, and it boom boom, and it goes from the eastern seaboard all the way across, and all the way down, probably pretty close to the Mississippi, if not. And then it's like Chicago, Milwaukee, it's all the way over, probably touches on to Minnesota. But that east of the Mississippi is the most populated area of the United States. I don't remember the percentage, but I think it's well over 60%. Might
Okay.
even be closer to 70% of the population of the US lives east of the Mississippi. And that's who they're zapping. They're zapping me. They're zapping us. That's probably one of the other reasons why I'm not sleeping at night,
Yeah.
is because that's when they're doing it. They said they do it when you're asleep. And it's not from some outer space satellite. It's the towers.
Yeah. You could
I'm gonna
tell
get
the
banned on
flickering
YouTube
the
for this.
flickering
This is for
lights,
entertainment purposes only.
the flickering lights, you know, they're that's a frequency. That's like SOS sending you, Morse code.
No, it was a wave. It was a
Ah,
wave.
okay. Yeah.
It was a wave. It just kept waving, and it was like, oh my gosh, and it was like crazy.
What were the symptoms afterwards? Nausea.
No, no. I mean, I'm telling you some of the stuff I got going on, and I
Yeah.
think it is going
Okay.
to be a little bit different. It's going
Yeah.
to be insomnia. It's going to be
Yeah.
irritation. It's going to be heart palpitations and high blood pressure, and it's going to be wherever your weak point is in this vessel. That's what's going
Yeah.
to be affected, in my opinion. Entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. Well,
Theory,
I felt the
allegedly.
palpitations. I felt the palpitations, and I'm like, that's not mine. That's not mine. I know that my heart doesn't do that. That's not mine. And I did the wrist test, and I did the neck test, and I'm like, no, that feels different. That's totally different. That's not me. I'm feeling something else. So yeah, I think they can get us a lot of different ways. So be aware of what's yours and what's not. And if you start getting short of breath and everything, of course, you take the necessary steps. If you feel that you're in danger, get some help, all right? Get some
Yep.
attention.
Yep.
But, if you're able to recognize whether it's yours, whether you're safe or not, I have to watch these signs closely because I'm rural and I'm responsible for me and others around me. So, and we don't have phones out here. We don't have that kind of connection. So if I needed something, I have to I be on the ball first. What's the fastest? way I can get someone to safety if I needed to. So that's how my brain works, and it's like you've got to take care of yourself. You got to look at, okay, so why did you react that way? Have you got, I know everybody's got different details of, they can backtrack and see why they let rip. I mean, I went from someone who one day woke up angry because of everything that I had suddenly felt in one go, and I nearly killed someone. They said I wouldn't hit them because they had glasses. And that was just like winding that spring up. And it took a couple of big guys to pull me off that person. It was, I just lost it. Didn't give two hoots if it was a male or female wearing glasses. I lost it. And I went from that to another stage. I had another breakdown and I lost control. But then when I got the next opportunity to do that, I could see I could easily go into that. It was like, nah, that's not mine. That's not my energy. I'm not going to participate in that. So you've got to be guarded, be safe. Look at what does trigger you, whether it's foods, whether it's being around certain people's frequencies. Music can do it. A lot of people are doing feeling sorry, feeling sad. A lot of empathy hits, emotional hits on that aspect. Oh, I don't get this way, or I don't get that, or da 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 da. Why don't you get it? Why are you expecting it in the first place? What's told you that you expect that? Or deserve that. Well, you do deserve it. You start with your inner self first. All right, you give it to yourself. You got to know what it feels like to be able to accept it really. So when that someone comes to you, I'm not a huggy person, and I have a beautiful photo of David Icke and I. He gave me this like bear hug. He bent in for a bear hug. I hadn't even gotten my arms around him, and I'm like patting him on the back, saying, "It's all right, David." So what the hell? You get to know the energy that you possess, you have, and a hug, just a simple hug, can jumpstart someone else in the right connection, in the right direction. But you got to make sure you got that permission first, and you got to know what you're giving away. I mean, when I give a hug, it's like I've got to make sure, this is one of the things we've got to discuss, is the protection that we put around ourselves, so that someone else near us, if we do go to do a hug or a touch or a hongi or anything like that, it's like we're not going to give our trauma to that person, who's interacting with us. We're not going to give our ancestral trauma that's held dimensionally when our dimensions connect. We're not going to do that. So, I'm not sure what stages you do, what practices you do. I do smudging. Not enough. I should do a lot more. But I like to interact. I'm liking to hear the communications and be able to identify the different ones that are coming in. I watched somebody the other day talking about shadow beings and night paralysis, and I'm like, wow, this is really good. This is right on. And then there was a segment where it was like, hey, what on? What just happened? What just happened? No, 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 back up. And I saved a little number, and I'm like, okay, today I'm going to sit down, I'm going to focus on seeing if I heard what that speaker said correctly, because that didn't sit right. It just sounded like, oh no, there's a cut in the matrix and something else was fit in there, and then it doesn't sit right. So I'm looking out for little signs like that. But when it comes to the protection, set yourself a space, a time, let others around you know. You only need a couple of minutes to do it. The longer you can get, the better. But any time is good time, if you know what I mean. I do mine when I'm vacuuming, mopping, mowing the lawn. People say to me, why are you doing that? Why are you doing it? Well, I'm actually in a meditative state and I'm communicating with myself, basically, getting things
Mm-hmm.
straight in my head. Um, I ask for the return of myself, the deeper versions of myself to come in. And if there's any work that I need to do, to show me now so that we can work as one. I only allow those that resonate with my frequency. This is just my bubble I'm talking about, to come back in and communicate with me. Anything that is not of my frequency, not to try to interfere in this sort of thing. So I'm cleansing, I've created and I've cleansed my energy space. I'm now going back into electroculture with copper rings and copper coils. And I'm also working on a copper shoe, copper. It's like a sleeve you just slip in. I don't even know if you can call it a sleeve. Anyway, it's like a mat that you just stand on, but it's inside your shoe. There you go. Um, but there's a lot of grounding stuff. I've I've been shown just recently, like a map, like a map of the different layers of protection to turn my space into an energetic, safe field. It's designed almost like a box, but it's actually not a box. So um, I'll show you another time. I'll show you my drawing another time on that one.
That sounds like a plan.
It is, it is, it is. It's absolutely awesome. But I do the smudging to see what beings are there. I always ask for whatever's there to show themselves so I can, face them and say, thank you for being there. You're not needed at this time. Adios, amigos. Until you're called next. You've got to step into your power, your authority. This is your energy. You're growing your experience. And we don't need anybody else or any creature out there feeding off us. Unless you're giving them permission, they have none. Tell them to bugger off. If you need to use your belief system, your gods, whatever, use whatever. But at the end of the day, it comes from your clear intent.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it when I asked you about breaking the cycle. Um, it kind of made me think on a line of when you break a habit.
Yeah,
So when we break a habit, what does it take to break the habit? Well, first you have to want it. So when you want it, what makes you want it? You have to figure out the reason why you want it. So it really starts the whole thing is a manifestation process. It starts with your thoughts and your thought life and your inner dialogue. And this is why that self-help, self-healing sort of thing is kind of important right now.
yeah,
That's kind of the cycle break I'm thinking of, that it's not necessarily going to happen in our lifetime, but it's a possibility that there could be a trajectory shift. Because if you start on a 1 mile journey and you are off 0.001% to the right, you're probably not going to be very far off your target at the end of 1 mile. But when you're looking at millions of miles
yeah,
in a never ending road, and you're off by that 0.001, you're going to be in such a different place. So that's kind of the idea that I'm thinking about as far as breaking a cycle. If you can make that one small shift, like the butterfly wing, like the drop, because the drop doesn't just manifest that little whip at the pond or the still water. It has something, because it has something that actually goes in the water, under the water. Most people see that with the ripples on top. No, it's in it, and there's now they have photography where they can see what happens above, what happens to the
Yeah.
air. Because when the water moves up, it's moving into the airspace. So the air has to move out of the way for the water to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's all this crazy stuff that goes on with that one little drop of water, and it has a bigger impact than what the simplicity of that image brings. And I think that's kind of the idea of breaking a cycle, is taking that minuscule hair step towards something better that can help everybody down the road. That's kind of
Yeah.
like so that to me is just do something different.
Yeah. We
Even
have,
if it's something like taking a different way, if you're driving
yeah.
to work, if you work, just drive a different way to the grocery store, take a different way, go to a different store, talk to different people. I've actually thought that's like, you know what? That's kind of like the right attitude. Last time I went into a store, I had random strangers walk up and just start talking to me. People don't talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
I used to go and people used to just walk up to me and start talking to me. And as next thing you know, it's like, I don't want to hear about what happened to your kid's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not here for that. I just want some, some pears or something. But it's that then there was all these people. It was like the cashier, this other person, something happened where somebody had to get something for me. So I stood there and they're talking to me as they're waiting for, I mean, it was just all this engagement. It's like, okay, I guess I needed to talk to some people. So when you make that tiny little shift, because I'm not a big fan. It was a big store, and I'm not a fan of big stores. I like going to the little places and feeling like I'm in a hometown kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was the whole kind of idea, though, is that when we do those little tiny shifts, and we're consistent with making those good tiny shifts, that's where it can change that trajectory. Like, again, it may not be in our lifetime. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean it doesn't matter. It does. So don't top yourself. We
Oh
need you.
gosh. Oh God.
We
No.
need you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like you might not feel like you have value. There have been
Yeah.
times in my life, many, because when you go down that path and you carry out that action, that that's really like you can relate. That track is there.
Yeah.
It is always an option. It is always an option. And it's like, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And you just keep saying that, and it gets easier to say it. It's quicker. Those feelings dissipate quicker because you know how to address it. And your whole point about recognizing what's yours,
Yeah.
that's the other aspect. Because once you realize that even that original one wasn't you, was some other external whatever it was that kind of led you down that particular path, that should make us realize how powerful we are just with those little tiny thoughts, with making those little tiny shifts.
Yeah.
That when we do something different, when we think, and don't beat yourself up about it either. If you find yourself feeling really crappy and saying I'm worthless, and because I do the same thing, I'm not innocent of that. I'm worthless. I feel like crap, and what's the point of me even being here? Okay, it's not me. And you start taking that path back,
Yeah.
and you take that spiritual shower, and you're good to go. You're good to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. You have to be able to, I mean, the first step I see is recognizing you want to change, recognizing there's something that's not sitting right with you,
Yep.
as
Yep.
soon as you go, okay, well, what is it? Why am I unsettled? What's not right here? Then you start seeing if there is a pattern, something you're doing each time, and the more you're doing it is the stronger the anxieties become, you start hiding it from others, your whole personality changes. So the telltale signs are always there. So you've got to, as soon as you are aware that there's something there, you work to see what it is so you can change it. It's like, okay, I've got this opportunity. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that about me. I don't like that I'm doing this. This is what this is doing. I need to change this. So you need to first of all identify that there's a problem to begin with, right? And then start backtracking. Where did it come from? Where did it come from? You can't just cut it off and say, okay, it's never going to come back because you haven't identified how it got there in the first place. You know, we do that a lot. We practice going out there and just simply cutting it off and saying it's never gonna raise its ugly head again and da 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 da. And not long down the track, we go and repeat the same pattern because we didn't treat the wound the right way the first time.
Right.
So then we do the shadow work. We go in and we go, okay, well now I have to apologize for all of these wrongs that I've done, da 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 da. But that's it. That's us judging ourselves. That's us saying, yes, this is what I've learned from that. Then you go, okay, so the next time that comes round, if it comes round, you can see, okay, well, I do have an issue in these areas. This is where I've got to look at. But hopefully you get that at an early stage so you don't have to keep repeating it. And I see that in a lot of young people because they didn't I don't see it that they had the same privileges that we had, where we could get out and we could do. We were more active as kids. We had, and I do say we had more freedom to fall over and graze our knees and get a good hiding and do shit that you would not even you'd need an OSH certificate to do now. Yeah.
It was funny. It was so funny. I was watching this one. It was somewhere overseas or something. It was this little tiny girl. She was on this massive horse, and this very. I mean, she looked like maybe she was like 7 or 8 years old, and just doing a really nice job. She could have been older than that. She may have looked smaller because the horse was really big. Uh, the point was you look down at the comments at the bottom and it's like, well, that's not a good idea. Where's her helmet and where's her shoes? She's only wearing sandals. I can't tell you how many times I went horseback riding with no shoes
Yeah,
and no saddle.
that's right. Horseback riding. Yeah, bareback. Yeah. And
Yeah, like the old
you
days
didn't you
in the
didn't wear nylon.
army.
You didn't wear nylon because you just like slide off the other side. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
no. Yep. It's just, like you said, it's just people that you need to get the bumps and scrapes in order to not fall
Yeah,
or to reduce your risk, as I
yeah,
clinically say.
yeah.
Reduce the risk. If you know the stove is hot and you put your hand on it, you're going to get
Exactly.
burned.
Exactly. I mean, we
But
got
if
a
I keep pushing you away and pushing you away and pushing you away and pushing you away, you're never going to learn that the stove is hot.
yeah, yeah. You just get
You
used.
have that knowledge.
Mm,
You don't have the wisdom with experience.
yeah.
Here, let me help you. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, look, mate, I still get burnt. I still reach over the wrong element or the kettle and still get like ching, ching.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, stick it in there. Psst, damn it, did it again. Okay.
oh my
No,
goodness. But
yeah.
anyway, all right. Got anything else for us this evening?
Oh, just basically whatever shows itself, whatever comes up, if you can step into that calm place, if you have to give yourself a silent mantra where nobody else hears, it's like you can do this, there's no harm, there's no ill will, you're not gonna kill them, you're not gonna strangle them, you're not gonna yell at them, you're not gonna throw things at them, you're not gonna punch a hole in the wall, you're not going to be that person. You're going to step into that, okay, you are having an experience. Thank you for showing me and sharing with me where you're at. I don't have to participate if I choose not to. Yeah. And breathe while you're doing it.
Breathe. That's right. Don't forget to breathe.
Yeah. I
And
mean, you can't change what you're not aware of. So as soon as you become aware of it, you're able to do something about it. If you choose not to do something about it when you do become aware of it, then you deserve whatever you're going to get.
Yep, and here's the other aspect too, and I don't necessarily agree with this particular line of thought, but it's out there as something that's well known as that if you are someone who is an alcoholic and um, there's different terminology that means different things. Like if someone relapses, it means they've gone right back. But if someone slips, it means they had a drink or two and then stopped. And some of them say, well, if you had that slip, then you need to go back and start at square one.
Mm,
And that to me sounds like a punishment because I don't think that's a kindergartner. That's somebody who's already graduated who needs a refresher course.
yeah,
And just kind of have the good reminders because they did have the forethought to quit.
yeah, yeah,
Um, that's a different, whole different creature.
yeah,
So the big thing about that is when we do something, if we do rage out, if we do something that is less than savory, that we need to forgive ourselves first.
yeah, yeah.
We need to not beat ourselves up all over all this stuff.
There is another
Um,
area I do want to cover if I could. It's
yeah.
AI. It's AI. It's
Oh,
the
you want to
temptation.
talk about AI tomorrow?
Oh, okay. Yeah, what's
Yeah,
happening
we
tomorrow?
can do something on AI tomorrow because we could talk another 2 hours on AI with what I got.
Yeah, well, AI and the temptation of AI. Okay.
Yes, and what we can compare, kind of tie it into this whole
Yeah,
experience of this individual that I know, and leveling up our discernment.
yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, leveling up our
So
discernment against
we'll talk
AI.
about, yep,
Yeah,
game changing AI, yep.
yeah. All right, then.
All
I will
right.
see you all tomorrow on another round of, I don't know, roughshod ramblings
Yep.
with
All right,
Auric and
everybody.
myself.
Take care, you all. Have a fantastic evening, and we'll see everybody on the floor.